Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Menachos Daf Memches. We begin on Mem Zayin with base 2 lines from the bottom. Tana Rabbanan, we have a brisa, which again will discuss the offering on Chag HaShavuos, consisting of the 2 sheep, the 2 kvasim, which are both karbanos shalomim, which come in conjunction with the 2 breads, the shtei alechem. They're going to experience a joint tenufa. Okay, then we do the shchita and the zrika on the kvasim, which activates kedusha saguf, on the lechem, which until then were only kedushas damim, were belonging to hekdesh, but weren't really inherently kaddish, weren't yet deemed karba material. But the process which applies to the kvasim, the akrava of the kvasim, the shchita and the zrika, etc., that will be mekadesh the lechem as well. Okay, so you're meant to have 2 kvasim and 2 breads. Here we have a case where they came up with 4 breads, 2 more than necessary. Tana Rabbanan shachat shnei kvasim. So they did the shchita on the kvasim. Problem is, too many breads. 4 breads. Al arba chalas. What do we do now? Shachat shnei kvasim al arba chalas. Moishech shtay mehen. So they choose 2 of the 4. Umanifan, and they proceed with those. They do the tenufa together with the sheep. Mashar and the other 2 were over to Menachos and Alf. Nechalas v'pidyon. Just redeem them, transfer the kedusha onto money, and eat the breads. Now, let's recall part of yesterday's discussion, where we had Rabbi and Rabbi Shimon, 2 shittas regarding at what stage do the breads become kaddish. According to Rabbi, the shchita of the kvasim already activates some level of kedusha saguf on the breads as well. It's completed during the zrika of the kvasim, but it starts during the shchita. According to Rabbi Shimon, the shchita of the kvasim do not activate kedusha saguf on the breads at all. So this halacha, this price, which allows us to do pidyon on the extra 2, whose opinion is going to follow? Amru Rabbanan Kamed Rav Chisda. So Chachamim analyzed the price and presented the assertion to Rav Chisda. Hadlik Rebbe, this solution, this plan, will not be in line with Rebbe. Why? The Rebbe, going to Rebbe, it's not going to work. Even the Amar Shchita Makacha, because he holds that the Shchita of the Kvasim already activates kedusha onto the breads. Now, of course, only 2 out of the 4, but we don't know which ones are the 2, which ones are the extra, right? So within this mix, 2 have kedusha saguf, and 2 don't have kedusha saguf. Only kedusha has damim. They belong to hekdesh, but not yet. They don't have the high level of kedusha. So those are the ones that we want to be paid. Rashi explains, how do we do that if we don't know which one's what? We take the whole mix, the whole group of 4, and we say, look, here's money corresponding to value of 2. And whichever one of the 2 which are extra, which are merely kedushas damim, monetarily kaddish, which were not designated as the karban, those 2, they're going to be redeemed and transferred onto the money, etc. So that's what he's going to attempt to do. Problem is, even the Amar Shchita Makacha, since, according to Rebbe, merely the Shchita of the Kvasim already activates Kedushas HaGuf onto the breads, onto 2 of the 4 breads. How could he proceed with this redemption procedure? The Paraklu Heicha. Where? At which location? Where is it going to be when he does that pidyon? Either Paraklu Mehavroy, if he takes them all outside the Azor and does them outside, knowing that through the pidyon 2 become totally chulin, totally mundane, he wants to take them outside for that to happen. But you can't do that, because the 2, let's call it the first 2 and the last 2. The first 2 are the ones that are really going to be kaddish and become incorporated into the carbon, and the last 2 are the extra ones. We don't know to identify which one's what, so we have to use the whole mix as one and make the pidyon on 2 of them. But where is he standing? Either Paraklu Mehavroi, if he's going to be doing the pidyon outside the Beis Hamikdash, that's going to be automatic disqualification on the first 2, which don't belong outside. Given the Chsiv Lefnei Hashem, the pasuk in describing the Shtei Alechem refers to Lefnei Hashem, they're meant to be inside the Beis Hamikdash. If Sulu B'Yotze, to take it out to become possible. That's not a solution. Igavoy. Okay, if he chooses to do the process inside the Beis HaMikdash, well, that triggers another set of issues, because when he makes that redemption, the last two become chulin, and chulin don't belong in the Azara. He's bringing chulin to the Azara. So the only way we understand this brayso is not like Rabbi. Rather, it's like Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shimon, who says that at this early point in the process, nothing is really kedushas haguf. The shechita doesn't do that. Doesn't make kedushas haguf. So then he can just take them all outside and do the pin and bring back the first two. Okay, but of course the Rebbe won't work. Well, says the Gemara, who says Hamalei Ravina? He turned to Rav Ashi. He says, Vatanya. So Amalu Rav Chizda. So Rav Chizda came to answer the question. He says, Lo'ilam ke Rebbe. You know what? It could work like Rebbe. U'paraklu gavoy. He'll do the pidyon inside and answer your question regarding chulin and the azar. It's happening by default. It's happening circumstantially. V'chulin memelu kahavyan. He didn't bring them in once they became chulin. They were already there. And when inside, they became chulin. Okay. That's not an issue. You can't bring chulin into the Beis HaMikdash, but if it was kaddish while inside, then it turned chulin inside. Okay, I'll take them out, but there's nothing wrong at this point just because there's chulin inside. Amalei Ravina Rav Ashi. How could you say that Vatani of a brayso kshu poidon ain't poidon al b'chutz? The brayso clearly says the pin is meant to take place outside. And according to Rebbe, that doesn't work, because the first two become possible when taken outside. You're right. Havadi Rebbe Lezer Shimon. Certainly, this brayso will be following Rebbe Lezer Shimon, who says that the shechita has not yet activated the kedushas haguf, and there's no issue of taking them outside, because according to Rebbe, it's not going to work. The Rebbe, he did the Rebbe ha'ifsalu b'yaitze. According to Rebbe, that the shechita already endows the two breads with the kedushas haguf, you can't take them out. Amalei Rav Acha b'red Rav Ashi. I have a question. We just learned that brayso. If the shechita was done with 4 breads, pull out 2, redeem the other 2, and you're good. Lema, perhaps we can suggest that this brayso is a refutation. It's going to be a challenge, serious challenge against Rabbi Yochanan. Lema tabatiyucht is Rabbi Yochanan. Because we have learned elsewhere, Rabbi Yochanan seems to say too many breads, and it invalidates the whole bunch. Toida. So a similar case is a toida, which comes with breads as well. 40 breads. What if he brought 80? Toida sheshchatal shmeinim chalei. He did the shechita with 80 chales. Chizki Amar katra bar mitach shmeinim. 40 out of the 80 is okay. Meaning, even though there are too many, it doesn't interfere. Let the 40 become kaddish. So that's Chizki's shita. Of course, we don't know to identify which 40, so you have to treat the whole thing as. But technically, 40 became kaddish, and the Taita is a successful carbon. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. He says, if it's too much, it interferes. Rabbi Yochanan, you can't be Mekadesh 40 out of 80. You have 80, it's too much. How could you be Mekadesh 2 breads out of 4 in our case? Answers the Gemara. But haven't we learned an explanation on that halacha? In some cases, all agree it works. All agree, even Rabbi Yochanan agrees. If he got up and says, look, I'm not intending on being Mekadesh all 80. It's not all one package. I really just want 40 out of the 80. I want the rest to be like sort of a backup, a guarantee, whatever. But my intention is merely to have 40. The kosher, in this case, it works. So Chanami, same could be said in our case with the 4 breads, that there was no intention to be Mekadesh more than 2. The Amar, he said, he meant to be Mekadesh 2 out of the 4, in which case it works according to all shittas. Okay, so again, we have a case of 4 breads. We pull 2, use it as the carbon, the other 2 we redeem. Inside, outside, well, that's a machlekes. What happens if he has too many sheep? 4 instead of 2. Tani Reb Chanina Tirsa, Reb Chanina from the town of Tirsa, presented brisa kamei in front of Rabbi Yechon. Shachad arba kvasim al beis chalis. So he did shechita on 4 sheep with 2 breads. The breads are okay, but the sheep are too many. What do we do? Meicha shnai mehen v'zorek dama shlei lishman. This is the way to go. Choose 2 and proceed with their zrika on the mizbeach shaloi lishman. Don't have in mind this specific carbon as you're supposed to. No. Divert it to something else. Have in mind something else. In which case we know that the shlamim will be kosher, even though he had in mind an oil, it's still kosher, but it won't count as the kivsei atzeres. The carbon is kosher, but you haven't really fulfilled your obligation in terms of kivsei atzeres, in terms of its designation, original designation. And then you could approach the other 2 and process them properly. But you can't do it the other way. Because if you don't go with this route, rather, you process the first 2 properly, you know what's going to happen? You're going to lose out on the other 2. Because at this point you can no longer process the last 2 properly. You already fulfilled your obligation. So it's unsuitable for its original designation, in which case, you know what happens? It becomes puzzle, period. As we learned the other day, when we say a carbon shloi lishma is kosher, that's only if it still has potential to realize its true designation. So if you divert it, it's still okay. But once something becomes sort of rejected from its originally intended purpose, like in this case, if you already were yaitzi rechiv with the first 2, the last 2 can no longer be used for kivsei atzeres, it's gone. And even if you choose to divert it to something else, it doesn't work. So rather, this is what you should do. Too many sheep, 4. Take the first 2, divert them. Shlei lishma. So they're not yet, you haven't yet realized your kivsei atzeres obligation. So these 2 will be kosher, but not count as kivsei atzeres. And then you could process the last 2 properly as kivsei atzeres. Amalei Rabbi Yechon. So Rabbi Yechon responded, is that a proper approach? To sort of misconstrue these to help those? Do we tell a person, go sin? Rashi says, shloi lishma is a sin, you're not allowed to divert a carbon, you're not allowed to mismanage a carbon, misappropriate a shlamim. Do we tell him to do that so that he can salvage the other 2? And to eat the other 2, but now we have a Mishnah where it doesn't seem that that's the proper approach. Right? So the end doesn't justify the means. You can't violate in order to gain, on the other front. In fact, we have a Mishnah. There's a mix between the parts of a carbon chatas, which are not meant for the mizbeach, meant for the kohanim to eat. They got mixed up with the parts of an oil which is meant for the mizbeach. What do we do? We have a mix here. Should we just burn it all on the Beis HaSreifa? Should we put it all on the mizbeach? What should we do? Well, put it all on the mizbeach. Even the chatas, which doesn't belong to the as basar chatas lamala kiloim eitzim. I'll just visualize. I'll treat the chatas material on the mizbeach as though it's firewood. You can do that. Since he's not doing it for the sake of haktorah on the mizbeach, it's okay. V'chacham, I don't know. No solution in this case. 2 batzerosen. Wait until the meat loses its form, its freshness, meaning leave it overnight. Lina, let it become puzzle. V'yetzu Beis HaShreva, take it out to burn outside the Beis HaMikdash. The question is why? Why are we sacrificing the whole mix here and destroying it? Why? Amai. Just because you have chatas material, you're gonna sacrifice, just for lack of a better word, sacrifice the oil. You're not going to sacrifice. I mean, say you're going to ruin the oil because you don't want to put chatas in the mizbeach. Amai, why? Lema, we should tell him, look, Lema, amoid v'chatei, go commit some sort of minor sin by placing the chatas material on mizbeach. Let's ignore that infraction in order to gain on the other side, to gain the oila. But the whole thing on the mizbeach, despite the presence of chatas material. If that is a proper approach. Well, that's very different, says the Gemara. You can't compare to the case of the kvasim. Why? Amoid v'chatei b'chatas v'shvashatiske b'chatas amrinan. Sure, we would tell you in order to salvage, one chatas, you can, divert the other one, so you can sort of give up this one for that one within the same, chatas family. But here you're committing a violation in a chatas in order to gain on the oila. That we don't allow. That would say to do a chet and a chatas to gain on the oila side. That we don't say. But within the same type of carbon, we do like the kivsei atzeres. But in the same type we do allow this. Vatanya. We have a rice. Kivsei atzeres. Okay, back to our story. Kivsei atzeres. A little different case, but the same carbon. Sheshachtan shlo lishman. Or sheshachtan men lefnei zmana. Ve'en lachas zmana. He did something wrong. He did the shechita shlo lishma, or the wrong time, before Shavuos, after Shavuos. In which case it cannot be used for kivsei atzeres, but it can still be considered a plain oil, a plain shlamim, right? Hadam yizark, so you continue with this rika. Basi yochel eat a basar v'moiser Shabbos. Okay, that's a standard weekday case. But let's say it's Shabbos. We're not meant to do zrika to fix up a carbon, if it's not really required. Lo yizrak. You shouldn't do the zrika, because in any case you can't really consume the basar today, because it's not an obligatory carbon. It turned into a voluntary, right? So you can't burn the fats today. You can't eat the basar today. So don't do the zrika. Bimzara hortza lahakter emurin lera. But if he did the zrika on Shabbos, it works. Hortza, the carbon is now accepted, and tonight you'll burn the fats and you'll eat the basar. The question is, why are we discouraging you? Why are we disallowing you to do zrika? Let us advise him to go ahead and do the zrika today, which is an infraction, in order to salvage the carbon. And again, it's in the same family, it's in the same item. You're doing the zrika improperly to salvage the rest of the carbon, if in fact this approach is correct. No, here it's different. Once again, why? Because you're not going to have it today. So you're sacrificing today for tonight. Certainly we would tell you, do somewhat of a chet today to gain today. But we would not tell you to do zrika, which is an infraction today, in order to have the carbon tonight. It's a different entity. Tonight's a different story. Really? If it's a different entity, we don't allow it? Listen to this halacha. So you have the gas al yona, the upper press, where they press the grapes. A barrel of truma, wine, shattered, and the wine is now spilling out and pouring from the gas al yon, trickling down to the lower pool. The problem is, see, if the lower pool was empty, no problem. So we'll collect it later from the bottom. But the problem is the bottom one is full of chulin, which are tameh. And if that truma drips into the chulin, it's going to ruin the chulin, and it's going to ruin itself. Because chulin tmein can be consumed, but not truma tmeya. What do we do now? We want to save the day, we want to save the truma, we want to save the chulin. Because once they mix, it's all gone. Moeder Reb Lezer, Rabbi Shua. So both these opinions agree. If he has the ability to run and get a container that could save at least a revius, a couple of ounces of the truma wine before it reaches the chulin on the bottom, and he can do so with tahara in a kli that's tar, which will properly save that truma material. Yatzel is meant to do that, which means to say we don't allow you to use, let's say, containers which are tameh, to collect the truma which is now trickling into the bottom to save your chulin. You can't sacrifice the truma, make it tameh to save your chulin. If provided that you know that you have the ability to run quickly and find a kli which can at least save a revius of truma in a Torah state. But let's say you can't, bimlav. There are no, kalim that are tar in the area. So in any case, you're not going to save the truma. It's not the question, should I just let it trickle into my chulin and ruin the whole mix? Destroy my chulin as well? Or should I go ahead and grab whatever kli I have, even though it's tameh, and stop the flow, contain the truma in that kli, despite the fact that it's making the truma tameh in order to save my chulin? Bimlav, Rav Lezer Omer, Tered, return Talmud Beis, Tered v'tetameh, v'ay tameh b'yad. You're required to allow the truma to slide into the bottom pool, become tameh, and ruin the whole thing, rather than manually disqualifying the truma. You have no right to physically, actively be metamed the truma. Rabbi Shoimer, no. You can do it manually as well. Collect the truma and the keli that's tameh to save your chulin. So here you're sacrificing truma to save your chulin. It's a different thing, and it's allowed. You're telling me it's not. Well, Shani Hasam L'Tuma Ka'azla. There it's very different, because what's the point of letting the truma trickle in? And anyways, whether a second earlier or a second later, truma will become tameh and unusable. So therefore, Yeshua says, what's the point? Let's let him be metamed the truma before it hits the chulin. But certainly in a case where we have two separate entities, unrelated, unconnected, and you're just going to give up one for the sake of the other, that you have no right to do. Okay, let's recap the halacha of the 4 kvasim. After shchita, what do we do? So we have a brisa which says that you divert the first two shalei lishma to allow the processing of the last two. So in a way, you're overriding the requirements of the first. You're ignoring the first one. You're diverting the first ones to save the second ones. So we had a little back and forth on that. And the point was, here it's different because it's all the same type of korban. It's all in the family, and you're sort of helping each other out. He also Rav Yitzchak. Okay, here comes another halacha regarding kivsei atzeres. Rav Yitzchak came and he presented a brayso, a tani. He taught like this: kivsei atzeres. Sheshchatan shaloi k'mitzvos. He took the kvasim and did the shchita improperly. Shaloi lishma. He had a mind in his own oila. Psulin v'tu batzarasan v'yetzu beis hasreifa. So according to him, it's possible because it was done improperly. Totally possible. If it's not 100%, it's possible. He doesn't hold that you can make it shaloi lishma still kosher. If it's not lishma, it wasn't processed as per its intended designation, it's totally possible. You have to burn it. But you have to wait until it loses its form, which is an expression referring to lina, let it stay overnight, and then you burn it later. Okay. Why do you have to wait till tomorrow? That's a discussion in Gemara and Pesachim. Okay, in any case, so Rav Yitzchak taught us a halacha, whether it's a brayso or his own halacha, in any case, it's possible. Amar Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman turned to him and he says, Mar de makash lo lachatas. I'll tell you why you disqualify the kivsei atzeres shlo lishma, because you connect them to the chatos. The pasuk actually mentions the chatos, vasisim sir izim echad lachatos u'shnei kvasim neishon al zerach shlama. So in the pasuk we have a correlation between the two sheep and the chatos. And since a chatos, as we know from Mizmachim, is different than other karbanis, when it's shloi lishma, it's totally pasul. Unlike a regular karban, shloi lishma is somewhat kosher. A chatas is pasul, so the kivsei atzeres also are pasul shloi lishma. Tani psul, and that's why you taught that it's pasul. But Talmud Bavli Levi, we have another brayso of Talmud Bavli Levi who disagrees. The Gomar Shalmi Chavim Shalmi Nedava. He learns that the Ishlamim of Shavuos don't have the status of a chatas. Actually, he connects it to something else, to a regular shlamim, which one brings as a donation, a voluntary shlamim, shalmi nedava, where we all know over there if a person does a shloi lishma, it's kosher, and therefore tanik sherim. So he learned that the shalmi chayva, the obligatory shlamim on Shavuos, have the same status. even Shlei Lishma is somewhat kosher. It's not going to count as a fulfillment of the obligation, but it's kosher. Yitani Levi, as Levi told in the Brisa, regarding a different topic, regarding the karbanis of a nazir, where you have a similar arrangement. You have shlomim, you have a chatas, which connects to the shlomim in the pot. And he says over there that it's okay, even Shlei Lishma. Likewise, the Kivsi Atzeres, Shlei Lishma kosher. Tani Levi, Shah Shami Nazir, the other karbanis of a nazir, the Shami Nazir, Shashat and Shlei K'mitzvasim, which were done Shlei K'mitzvasim, not properly, Shlei Lishma, they're kosher. Shadim, they don't count for the owner's obligation, but they're kosher. Eat them within the day and the night, like a carbon nazir. But they don't. They're now redesignated as regular shlamims. They don't require the breads of the nazir. The forearm of the nazir's carbon, which is given to a kohen, doesn't apply to this case. It's considered like a regular shlamim. So clearly, all of the Torah does mention this carbon together with a chatas. Talmud Bavli chooses not to connect the shlamim of a nazir to a chatas to give it that stringency, that strictness that would disqualify it if it's Shlei Lishma. Rather, he compares it to an ordinary shlamim, a voluntary shlamim, shalmi nedava, and just like over there, Shlei Lishma is kosher, here as well. Okay, so again we have this machlekes by the Kivsi Atzeres, which had a shchita Shlei Lishma. Some say totally apostle, because it's compared to the chatas in that package. And some say kosher, like a regular shlamim, which would be kosher Shlei Lishma. Meisvei. Here comes a kasha on Rav Yitzchak, who apparently doesn't like comparing an obligatory carbon to a voluntary carbon, such as Kivsi Atzeres, which are shlamim, but chayva, obligatory karbanis, he doesn't compare it to a donated voluntary carbon, shlamim, which can still be kosher Shlei Lishma. Meisvei comes a kash. The Brisa says asham ben shana. Sometimes an asham is meant to be a young sheep within a year of its birth, and sometimes it's meant to be older, a ram. Ben shtayim. Okay, let's say he mixed it up. Asham ben shana. He was meant to bring a young asham, and he brought an older asham. Maybe ben shtayim, or the opposite, ben shtayim, maybe ben shana. Meant to be a 2-year-old, he brought a 1-year-old. Psulin, they're possible. V'tu b'tzirasan, if they leave it overnight, basically it's streifa, and you burn it. Aval oilas nazir, v'oilas yeledes, v'oilas metzera. But let's say a fellow is meant to bring an oila because he was a nazir. A woman who gives birth brings her oila. A metzera brings his oila. And once again, it was the wrong age. It was meant to be a young one. Shoya ben shtei shanim, and they brought an older one. Ushchatan, ksher, it's okay. Why? Klal shadavar. This is the formula to work with. Kol hakosher b'oilas nedava, kosher b'oilas chayva. A situation which would be acceptable, which would be allowed to pass, if it would be a voluntary carbon, like a donated oila. Imagine a person, promised to bring a young oila, brings an old oila. 2-year-old, it brings a 1-year-old. It works. Carbon is still okay, right? So likewise, kosher b'oilas chayva, even if though it's a chayva to bring these oila, still we compare it to a donated oila, and if it's the wrong date, the wrong age, it's okay. So that's regarding an oila, because there's a concept of voluntary oila. So we compare the chayva to the ndava, but by a chatas, it doesn't work like that. Any deviation is possible, and likewise, an asham, if you deviate, it's possible. Chutz, except for Shlei Lishma, chutz for Shlei Lishma, so by a chata, Shlei Lishma is totally possible. By asham, Shlei Lishma is still kosher. Okay, but in any case, what are we deriving from this price? That, for instance, by the nazir, where he brings the oila together with a chatas, we don't connect the oila and the chatas and say, well, just like by the chatas, any diversion disqualifies it. Likewise, the oila. We say no. Rather, we compare the oila to a donated oila. We say, look, in general, a person donates an oila, even though it's the wrong age. He promised this and he brought that, it still is kosher. Likewise, by Eilas Chayva. So back to our story of the Kivsi Atzeres. They're Shlomim. Even though they're Chayva, we should compare it to Nadava, where Shalei Shema is kosher. Haitana Tanudei Leviu. Answers the Gemara, this Brisa, which prefers comparing Chayva to Nadava, is Shitas Levi, as we learned before, but Rabbi Yitzchak was going with a different opinion. Tashmai comes another kasha within Levi himself. Tani Levi himself teaches us Asham Nazir, Asham Metzera. The Asham that a Nazir brings, or that a Metzera brings. Shoshchat and Shalishman, Shodan Shalishman, Ksherem, they're still okay. But they don't count for the Onim, and you have to bring another one to replace that one. Okay. Shechat and Mechus Zman B'Bailam. Suppose the owner wasn't ready for it yet. He wasn't ready for the karbanis. He wasn't finished his nazir. He wasn't finished his mitzvah. Or let's say wrong age. Meant to be a young asham was an older one. Ushchatan. In this case, they're psula. And the question is why? According to Levi, according to Levi, we can make that connection, that comparison between karban chayva and karban nadava, whatever works over there works over here. Why can't we learn the asham, nazir, and asham mitzvah, which are obligatory karbanis? I understand. Let's compare it to a shlamim. And just as by a shlamim, imagine a person promised to bring a young one, he brings an older one. It's okay. Same thing with the asham of the nazir and the mitzvah. Because again, according to Rebbe, there's nothing holding us back learning chayva from nadava. The answer is here it's different. You're trying to compare two different types of karban. Shlamim is shlamim gamar. Certainly, I'll compare shalmi chayva to shalmi nadava. Whatever works there works here, like by the kivsei atzeres. But asham is shlamim legamar. He's not going to compare asham mitzera to a shlamim. So that addresses that point. And therefore, if it's too old, it's possible. 1 second. If you gamar shlamim mishlamim, if you're telling me that you could compare one shlamim to the other, ligmar nami asham asham. Let's compare asham to asham. Fine, I understand. You can't cross the lines, asham to shlamim, but I'll find you a precedent where even a changed asham works. So there's asham by the mitzvah, and the also should work as well. Ligmar nami asham asham. For instance, asham nazav asham mitzvah that we just spoke about, which are meant to be 1 year old. Let's compare it to asham gzelis and asham milas, different types of ashams which are meant to be older ones. Me asham gzelis, asham milas. And we'll say just like over there, 2 years old is acceptable here as well. It's in the family of the ashams, or vice versa as well. If he's meant to bring a asham gzelis, asham ilais, 2 year old and brings in a 1 year old, it should also be good. Let's compare them to the different types of ashams where a 1 year old works. Asham gzelis, asham ilais. Let's learn it. Asham nazav, asham mitzvah, and have a 1 year old be kosher. Again, we established that according to Rebbe, we compare karbanis. Whatever works over there works over here. Whatever works in the Nadava realm works by the Chayva realm, provided it's the same type of carbon. Okay, that explains why the Kivsei Atzeres Shleishman are still kosher, because we compare it to Shalmi Nadava. So let's compare the different ashams to each other and allow underage or overage. Amar Simar Ashi, this is a different case. You see, Dan and Davar Shlei B'Echsheir and Davar Shlei B'Echsheir, we're allowed to compare an improperly executed carbon to likewise another improperly executed carbon. For instance, Shalmi Atzeres, right? If they were Shalei Lishma, are they good? Yeah, because likewise, a voluntary Shlam and Shalei Lishma works. So it works there, works here. Or if it's a question of age, we can compare a problem to a problem. And just like that problem can still pass, likewise over here. As opposed to your equation just suggested, where you're attempting to compare improper to proper. What are we saying? Asham Nazar, which is meant to be one-year-old. You bring a 2-year-old, let it be good because the other type of asham is acceptable when it's 2 years old. Yeah, that's when it's done properly. But here you're doing it improperly. That's not a good equation. You can't compare a situation which was done improperly and derive and seek to justify it by comparing it to midavar from another situation where it's done properly. That's not a fair equation. And therefore, if it's underage, overage, it doesn't work. V'loi, really, you can't do that. You can't compare improper to proper. Vatanya. Have a brayso. Menayin lo yoytze, shemol lo yerid. So if you recall, we had the halacha about carbon material, which became puzzle, but it's on the mizbeach. The mizbeach is sort of a magnet; it absorbs it, it stays there. For instance, yoytze, material that left the Beis Hamikdash, which is puzzle. Shemol lo yerid. But what's on the mizbeach leave there? How do I know? Why? Why would I say that? Because it has an element of acceptability in some type of setting. Shara yoytze kasher b'bama. If you're in a bama, an altar out there, when they were allowed to do that, there's no problem of yoytze. There were no mechitzas. You're not confined within, mechitzas. So even if it's yoytze, it's okay. So we see that yoytze is not a deal breaker in all cases. So therefore, even in the Beis Hamikdash where yoytze is an issue, no, once it's on the mizbeach, it stays there. What kind of equation is this? You're comparing a problem to a non-problem. Just like by a bama, yoytze is not an issue. So in the Beis Hamikdash where yoytze really is an issue, no, we'll let it pass. That's not a fair equation. You're right. When the Tana compares this to that by yoytze, it's not really the primary basis for the halacha. It's really based on the pasuk. Zois teres ha'olah, all the oilim, anything on the mizbeach stays there. Riba, that includes and covers all these cases. That's really what he's relying on. And these equations, these comparisons to the yoytze, to the bama, just for added, dimension. But in concept, you can't compare proper to improper. Okay, let's recap today's daf. Meant to have 2 kvasim and 2 breads. What if he has 4? Choose 2, and the other 2 you redeem. Some say inside, some say outside, depending on the shita. It's whether it becomes kaddish through the shchita. Too many sheep. Take the first 2 shloi l'shma, and the final 2 you do properly, because you're allowed to override one to help the other if it's within the same context, within the same type. Kivsa sera shloi l'shma. According to some, is totally apostle. According to Levi, it's kosher because we compare it to a shalom and a dava where it's kosher. Shaloi l'shma. All the best to you and atzlacha.